Hello and Jai Siya Ram to all of you. So today I am back with a new topic and that is self-image. So this is the non-spiritual version of the topic, that is part 1. But you may ask that what is self-image? But I should tell you that what you are thinking about self-image in your mind now, that is what most of the people think about self-image. Because before every topic I survey my target audience, that is teenagers and youngsters up to the age of maybe 25 or a bit low above that. So the answers were 99% similar, and one thing I noticed was that they insisted on having a positive self image. But what is a positive self image? How do you define it? Because a person might think that anger is very necessary to maintain discipline around him or her. But what do you think, that anger is positive or negative? Neither of them or either of them? So that is a big question, but we never question about what we think. What we consider negative might be positive for some other person, and what we consider positive might be negative for some other person. So that is very natural. So as I said, question your self image definition. What the definition you have in your mind, you should question it. You should not presume that it is right, and you should not even presume that it is wrong. Just put a question mark on that. So now let us see what are the different aspects of self image. Let us explore together. So self image can be categorized in three different ways. The first is what people think about you, right? And second is what you think about yourself. And the third is who you are in reality. So let's dive into the first aspect of self image, and that is what people think of you. So it plays a major role in our lives about what people think of us. So we always tend to see ourselves from the eyes of the people around us. Everybody of us, there may be rare exceptions, but as a rule, we always see ourselves from the eyes of other people. These people may be physically present, or their ideas might influence us. Our parents create our image even before we are born. That my child should be like this or that. As we grow up, we are exposed to new people, new influences, and each one has an impact on our image. You must not remember all of this. As you were growing up, you went to school, you went to play with the kids around your house, in your neighborhood, and you had some influences at home, or when you went to the relatives' homes. There are so many areas where you were exposed to various influences, right? This process continues for most people till their last breath. I can relate to this, as you might also be relating to this, that this is a continuous process, and that's how our self image keeps changing. Society wants to create an image of yours which is not misfit for its survival, because society runs on various rules which are actually very necessary. As you can see, any institution, because society includes everything. You can see it includes like your school, your college, your home, all the relationships, everything. So society has to form some basic rules which are common for everybody, so that there is a balance in the societal structure. So whenever there is someone who is there, society feels that he might be a threat to our set rules, and society rejects him, or it makes him realize that you are wrong and you should do things so that you can fit rightly into the society that you are living in. It wants to mold you as per the rules to avoid any extreme behavior. It wants you to act as per the predefined behavior norms, as I told you. So I have to write everything down in my diary because that's more feasible for me. So if someone praises you based on your character, power, money, looks, etc., you believe you are on the right track, and vice versa. So that is so true. Yes, we follow that path which gives us acceptance and applause and appreciation, and then we think we are right. But if we are doing something different which gives us rejection, maybe no approvals, that is exactly to rejection, maybe some abuses or disrespect or something like that, so we think okay, we must be doing something wrong because the society is not giving any response which we expected, so we think we are doing something wrong. All this is not constant, it keeps on changing due to various factors. People see from the eyes of the media, they see what others make them see. And this is so evident in this era of social media and all other forms of media. So they really make you believe what they want to, and this has become so powerful in recent years. Everybody thinks that we should do what others are doing and what they see on their mobile phones or their devices and all the other media inputs like newspaper, television channels, etc. etc. We look at others not with fresh eyes, but through past images or memory, good or bad. That is right. If you are listening to me and if you know me, then you might have a good image or a bad image about me. So when we meet, you always think, okay, so here she is. She is a very good person. I like her. And then when you meet with me, you are not looking at me or my activities with fresh eyes, but you are looking at me with your past memory images. You might also think, oh, she is so arrogant and she is such a liar and all of those things. Whereas presently I might not be doing any of those things. So you got it? Yes. What the majority thinks is right, we think that is right. I told you this. So even if we think something is right and we start doing it, but we don't get the rewards of appreciation and approval, then we think we are wrong, and then we start following what others are already doing because we think it's more secure and it is right. we see from the eyes of likes and dislikes. The same person is good in someone's eye and bad in someone else's eyes. Or he might appear good initially and bad later, or vice versa. That is, he might appear bad initially or may appear good in the later stages. And that's all happening in the same person's eyes who is beholding this person. So that is really interesting. When we see someone, we actually use all our senses, right? And other faculties and make a story. Even if we are seeing a single thing, our brain sees it as a complete story. For example, if you are looking at any picture, say of a fruit or anything, then say you are looking at the picture of an apple, then you perceive it as red apple or green apple, mostly red apple. Then you remember the taste, and then you remember whether it was hard or not that fresh or things like that. Then you also remember its taste. Then you also remember that your father used to bring it for you, and that the apples found in Kashmir are the best, or things like that. So there is a single image of a fruit, that is apple, but you are building stories in your mind. So your brain perceives in a story form whatever it sees. So we actually do not see things as they are, but as stories influenced by the impacts, as I mentioned. So do you understand that you are not looking at the apple with fresh eyes, just being in the moment, just looking at that apple or that image of the apple, but we are weaving so many stories around this poor apple. When one is jealous or is too egoistic because of his power, wealth, knowledge, position, he wants to overlook the truth by befooling himself. He is not able to see clearly. That is exactly what I am trying to say, that he identifies himself with all of these things or traits, as I told you. So he is actually caged in these things because he thinks, for example, if he is a rich man, then he always behaves as a rich man should, whether he is eating or walking or doing anything, he will behave in the way that should reflect like a rich man. Whereas if we take an example of a beggar, so a beggar will never walk like a rich man, because then he will think that I will not get alms if I don't behave like a beggar. So you see, both are made captive by all of these things. And you can think of another example or other examples in your mind to understand this. So you see that one is not able to see clearly. And I am insisting on seeing because you see image, that is self image, you see. That seeing is not, I'm not talking about the eyes, that the physical form that you see. Seeing is comprehending the whole picture, understanding the whole picture. That's what I'm counting as seeing. So we should make it clear. So now let's move to the second aspect of self-image, and that is what you think about yourself, or how do you see yourself. Whatever you think about yourself has its roots in what people think about you, and that is 100% correct. You might follow their footsteps if you think they are right. You may be a rebel if you think they are wrong, then you decide, I will not follow them. You are always prejudiced for or against their image of yours. That means that if someone likes you, then you are prejudiced for, I don't know how to express it, but I presume that you have understood, or I will explain it further in the following points. So, we always think about ourselves in comparison to a person or idea. So, don't think that a physical person is needed to influence us, an idea might also influence us. We see our self image on the grounds of our beliefs. That is what an idea might signify. It is basically our beliefs, which are a byproduct of others' beliefs. So, this is really an unending chain. What one person thinks, the other person starts thinking like him or not like him. So, for example, this is a person and this person doesn't think like him. So gradually they both will have starting followers, like they think like him, they think like him, and these two don't think alike. So that is really very funny way of explaining. We live in illusions. We don't see things as they are. As I told you that our brain perceives anything in the form of a story, and we can take that story to any level that we want, and that creates more illusions in our mind, and that leads to unrealistic expectations from others, because we are living in illusions and we want others to behave in that manner, which is not possible. To see ourselves, we need two things, while to see others, we need only one thing. And what is that? To see others, we need only our two eyes, but to see ourselves, we need two eyes and a mirror also. So that is actually very weird, because it should be easier to see ourselves with less things required, but it's the opposite way. We can see others easily, but we cannot see ourselves easily. We need two things, a mirror and our eyes. And we might also see ourselves in other reflecting surfaces like water, or a mirror which is crooked or broken. And then it is very necessary to have a mirror that reflect things as they are, because you must have gone to any amusement place where there are many different mirrors which give very different reflections of you. For example, you might be slim, but that mirror will show you as a bloated person, or if you are very fat, the mirror may show your reflection that you are very slim, like a stick. Or there may be other mirrors which show a distorted reflection. So, to see clearly, to see the things as they are, we need a perfect mirror. When we are free from, but the question first arises that how to have that perfect mirror, and what is that perfect mirror. So, We should be free from likes and dislikes, attachments, fear, greed, jealousy, comparisons, prejudices, biases, intoxications of power and money, etc. So, intoxication is not always of alcohol, it can be of power or money. When we have immense power, then we cannot see things clearly. And also, when we have loads of money, then also our thinking capabilities are affected and we are not able to see clearly because there is so much of ego that arises in us that we are not able to see clearly things or people around us. So, when we have these kind of eyes, then we can see clearly. But as I said, we need two things, that is our eyes and a mirror. A mirror that reflects the things as they are. It's not distorted, it's not crooked, and also it's clean. It should be clear. So, a clear and stable mind acts as a mirror. But we all know how our mind behaves. There is so much confusion, there is no clarity in our mind. We see ourselves as something or someone we have already seen in the past or known as the mind recognizes its recordings. We never see ourselves as new or afresh. Earlier, I was talking about we don't see other things afresh or with new perspective or with no perspective, I mean, but we also don't see ourselves afresh. We see ourselves what is visible, this body which we see in a mirror. If there was no mirror or a reflecting surface, how would you even know how we look? If someone got many photographs and showed it to you, you will never recognize who you are in those photographs if you have never seen yourself in a mirror. So it is really frightening. The thought itself is so frightening. How will we recognize or how will we imagine how we look if we don't see ourselves in a mirror? We see ourselves through memory, as I told you. If there's no memory, there is no language, no expression, no thought, no story. It will be a fresh, plain looking, but without words. But seeing involves wisdom, which is more than just thinking. So, I have heard many people say to be free of thoughts, to see without thoughts, and so many other things. But they never talk of wisdom, that we should not think that our intelligence is anything not necessary. It is not garbage. It is the best gift that God has given us. So we should use our wisdom, which is more than just thinking, as I told you. Seeing should be like discovery. The discovery of truth, which is the same for everyone, everywhere. Wherever you are on the globe, the truth which is same for everyone, that is a real discovery. Self-image is actually made for social acceptance. Yes, guys. Where we are living, which may seem positive to some while negative to others. So it depends on the society in which we are living. For example, if you see the terrorists, so they have a self-image that they are doing something great, but for them it is positive, but for us it is negative. So it is not the absolute truth, even for them or either for us. But this self image made out of fear of rejection or greed of acceptance in the society creates so much of confusion and conflict. For example, if a person's self image is polite, of being a sober person, he is confused how to punish someone for any wrongdoing. Or if he has a self image of a non compromising person, he will not be able to adjust or forgive even if he wants to because he is bound by that self image of his. So, now coming to the last aspect of self image, that is who we are in reality. So, now it is evident that in reality we are different from what people think about us or what we think about ourselves because they both are interconnected. We are not what we think. We need the eyes of non attachment and intellect, as I told you, intelligence or wisdom that is capable of revealing the truth to see ourselves, which is actually the true knowledge. Knowledge is not data but the capability to see your true self. If you think you know, you cannot see. We see with memory which is rooted in the past while learning is done every moment. Even if you are looking at the same flowers which you look at when you are passing by that same road, then if you look with fresh eyes, then each day or each moment you will realize that there is something new, something different. You might not even think about it that there is something new or different in words in your mind. There will be just a feeling, and that feeling will have no words. Your heart will be full of joy, and you will not be able to express it. We are freshly present in the things we see, as if seeing them for the first time, even if we see them many times in a day. If you do like that. When we are ready to learn every moment, we act in present where mind has no entry. You can try this by focusing on your breath. Then you will see that there are very less clattering in your mind because when you are focusing on your breath, then you are in the present and the mind has a existence only in the past or in the future. Mind is powerful, as I said, only in the past and the future, but when we have no fear, we can have clarity. As soon as we say we know, we become limited. As I told you, we should not focus on what we know, but on what we don't know. And that will lead you to learning. We have to discover and keep discovering ourselves as to who we are. When we understand who we are, then we can bow down as well as stay tall. We can be at ease being the most ordinary or can be a leader with equal ease. Then we are not bound by any self image. We are free. We can be at ease being in limelight or being a part of the crowd where there is no focus on us. So, what really is self image? When you say, I damn care, then you are bound. You're not free. When you say, I do care, then also you are bound. You should be absolutely free, But freedom doesn't mean you can do anything blindly. It means you do not have a fixed self image, and that's all. You are as fluid as water. Whatever the situation requires, you mold yourself according to that. Just as you pour water in different sizes and shapes of vessels, the water takes the shape of that particular vessel. Similarly, you should also act according to the situation. How do we decide what we have to do? That is a big question. The guiding light requires four parameters. And what are they? The first is very important. All four are important, but they start with the first thing, and that is we should have self awareness. Whatever we are doing, what we are thinking, everything, we should have self awareness. And then we should be working for the welfare of others. Guys, have you ever thought about it that mostly when you have a self image, then that is based on, as I told you, on some fear or on some greed, and that is related to yourself. But when you think about others, doing something for others, then you don't have that impression of greed or fear. But yes, if by doing that welfare you are wanting some fame or money or social acceptance, then you again fall into the same trap. So basically you have to think about others and not about yourself. Then you can do various things with equal ease. Then you won't be bound with a particular self image, and don't develop a self image of a person who is ready to do welfare of others. Yes, it is a bit complex. We should be powerful. That is the third point, and it is very important. And we should have wisdom. The last two points are interrelated, because if you want to do the welfare of others, then you should be powerful in all the ways which are required at that moment. And when you are powerful, as I told you earlier, then you might get intoxicated. So you should have proper wisdom so that you do the right things and you are not under the imprisonment of that power. The power should not control you, you should control the power. And how do we use these four factors? Remember that when I say working for the welfare of others, then you have to keep in mind that you don't have to do it blindly, because that's what people start doing. We should serve them with all our capacities, but we should not be in unison with what the other person's desires and thinking are. So, serving someone doesn't mean that you agree with whatever he says or does or desires. So, that is a big trap. We should use our wisdom to differentiate between what is right, what is wrong for him, for us, and all the others who are involved in that. And hence we should be very flexible. We should be able to take a U-turn when the situation demands. So why do we want to create a self-image at all? Because we want to be secure behind that image. But we should actually look for absolute truth and not any self-image. It is very hard to live without a self image. Yeah, that is very true. But the very desire to live without it will lead you to the truth. When you give up that desire, when you really want absolute freedom, when you really want to know what is the absolute truth, after which nothing remains, then you will be free. Self image is like a cloth which is hung on the mirror which hides everything. There is a mirror and we have eyes and the mirror and we can see ourselves, but there is a cloth which hides the mirror. So that cloth is self image, because of which we cannot see our true reflection in the mirror. So remove that cloth, that veil, and see your self reflection. Don't presume or expect that the reflection should always be good or pleasing to the eye. As I told you in the introduction, that most youngsters and teenagers were saying that we should have a positive self image. In fact, there is nothing that is completely good or is completely bad. There is nothing in this world that you can find that is completely good or completely bad in the eyes of each and every person. The definition of good and bad itself is ambiguous. It is not clear. It cannot be called as absolute. So just see the reflection. What is? Face it. Don't run away from it. Don't hide it. Go for self-reflection. Observe and see what can be done. What should be done. And the criteria for that is whatever takes you to ultimate bliss with no fear or guilt is right. That is the only criteria. So let me explain you. Even the people who do things that are not good for others, that are not beneficial for others, they might feel pleasure in that or happiness in that, but it is very necessary that later on they are not afraid that they might be caught or they might be punished, or a person should not also have the guilt later on that he did something bad. So what I am saying, the ultimate bliss, it should be constant, it should be persistent, it should stay. Self-image is like a portrait which hangs on a wall. There is a portrait hanging on this wall. Once made, it is forever. So if I hang a portrait on this wall, there is a curtain, so on this wall, so it will hide what is on the wall. So there might be a beautiful wall painting, or there might be a terrifying scene painted on the wall. But if I hang a portrait on the wall, you will always see the same portrait. You cannot change it, and it also hides what is behind it. So similarly, the self-image is like a portrait, which is, we are a wall. We are not actually a wall, but I am just giving an example. And that self-image is that portrait, and behind that portrait, we may be beautiful or we might not be beautiful, but that self-image is not letting the real thing to be exposed. Whereas in self-reflection, every time something changes, the reflection changes. See, if there is a mirror and you put one finger, then it will reflect one finger. You can see one finger. If you put three fingers, it will reflect three fingers and you will see three fingers. If you put a fist, it will show a fist. So you see, every time it changes, the reflection is also different. And you can see the change if you want to, because the changes are always there. This world, there is nothing permanent, everything is temporary. everything is changing constantly, but we are not ready to see the change. We know that it's changing, but we don't see it. We are not ready to see it. But when we are ready to see it, then we can change the change if we want to, right? Go after self reflection and not self image, guys. Self reflection is dynamic. As I gave you just example, one finger, two finger, three finger fist, and it can be channelized towards realization of absolute truth and absolute freedom. Self image is necessary when we have a limited view of the world, like a frog in a well who knows that this small well is the world to him. But when we are able to comprehend or think about the unlimited nature of existence, we will be free. Nothing is big or small, important or unimportant, profitable or there is a loss. Then self reflection is the way. So, I will end it with the last line, and that is discover who am I. So guys, I will meet you in the part 2 of this video, that is the spiritual version of self-image, and please give your feedbacks, and you can also post in the comments what are your views about self-image, and we will meet soon in the next session. Until then, bye and Jai Siya Ram.